never give up. Because oftentimes you become so overwhelmed and task saturated, and we find ourselves, as chaplain assistants at least, that we talk about unit engagement, unit visitation a lot, and we talk about the administration piece a lot less. And what we do as chaplain assistants, we do both, and you have to balance both of those things. But again, many times what happens is you become overwhelmed with the administration piece, and you find yourself with a lack of time of doing the unit engagement piece, and that could cause discouragement, and that you just want to throw your hands up in the air and say, I give up. And I would just encourage people not to give up. Find a way to balance those things. Work with your supervisor. Find a purposeful schedule to where you have those things that you're working on in the chapel and the projects. And I always joke about the safety binder and the security manager binder. Those things they're important. They're not as important as an airman's life, but find time to work around those things so that when the chaplain comes knocking on your door, that you and him or her go out and engage airmen in their unit. Really, that is, and I don't want to put any less emphasis on the things that happen in the chapel, because they're, worship liturgies and rites are critically important. Counseling, crisis intervention, those are all critical things. But an airman only really comes to a chaplain or chaplain assistant in the most critical moment, because they have nowhere else to go. And oftentimes they seek out one individual. And why is that? It's because they have met that chaplain or that chaplain assistant in their unit. And there's a great story. I love to tell the story, not because of the circumstances surrounding it, but the end result. Many people might remember about in July of 2016, there was an airman who walked into his unit and shot and killed his commander, and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. And when the overall commander, the wing commander, showed up, of all the people he could have let into the unit to be with those airmen suffering, he let the RST in. Why is that? I can tell you why. It's because that wasn't the first instance of that religious support team showing up in that squadron. They had been there before. They were there last week and last month and 6 months ago. And they knew the airmen in that unit. They had built relationships with that airman. And that commander wisely understood that and knew that. And so when airmen, the survivors of that squadron, are now questioning and they're in crisis, commander says, I want my religious support team here, and I want them now. And so they showed up and were let into the squadron. Other helping agencies showed up, and they were not allowed immediately into the squadron. That speaks volumes for what chaplain assistants and chaplains do every day around the Air Force. And that story is repeated time and time again of the value that commanders see in religious support teams. So never give up on what you do. Keep pressing on. Keep pressing on, especially in the most important things. And that's engaging airmen and ensuring what the Chaplain Corps does best, of ensuring the free exercise of religion.